Here's why you should never look down during a hailstorm.
Holy f***. I felt the shockwave from that.
A bolt of lightning cracks across the brick wallway in front of him. I felt the shock waves, he says as he runs inside, but in truth, he's lucky he didn't feel something a lot worse. The moral of this scary video, if there is one, is to never go outside during this kind of weather. No exceptions. Not even the doorstep is safe. Carly Gum is a YouTuber who learned the hard way what happens when you stick your tongue to a pole in freezing weather. Eventually, she is able to rip her tongue away from the surface, leaving a red stain behind. I hope she is okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if her tongue needs medical attention by the end. A woman is eating a banana when a large unknown creature decides it wants to have a bite. It tries to run after her, but at 3 minutes and 55 seconds, its incessant bouncing accidentally reveals the waistband of a costume. So if you see this anywhere else on the web, know that it's pretty creepy, but ultimately not a real creature sighting caught on tape. What is this being lurking in the forest? YouTuber Fish On Fish Out returned to his favorite fishing spot with the boys when he spotted this. What was that? I'm not sure what that is. Could it be pareidolia? Maybe, but I think it's a demon lurking, angry that they took his favorite fishing hole. While you may want to be the focus of your selfie, sometimes creepy creatures in the background can steal the spotlight. Posted by Samik Bari 27 to the Chills Narrator subreddit. The original source of this video is Andy from Bolivia. Andy is laying on his bed, the camera directed at him as he sings, but look at the dresser behind him. A strange figure peeks its head out for a split second before quickly pulling back. You don't see much more than some strands of its black hair. Andy notices the sudden movement behind him and turns around to see what the heck is back there, but the thing is long vanished. When he investigates the dresser, there appears to be nothing. It's probably best to leave that place and never go back. A mysterious creature sighted in the woods of Makanda, Illinois, has residents wondering if this video is real or fake. It looks fairly convincing upon first glance, but some parts are questionable, like how this looks more like a boot than a foot when it steps out at 22 seconds. At 23 seconds, it raises its back leg up high like a person would. I think if its legs were really that big, then its footsteps would be much heavier and closer to the ground, but maybe I'm wrong. A YouTuber named Conman165 has a somewhat scary moment on his gaming stream while talking about wrestling, something he thinks could be a possible ghost sighting caught on webcam.
During the match, like, you know what I mean? Like, did anybody else just see that?
A small ghost orb moves his way and disappears, and if you look closely, the ghost orb blinks a little before it hits the middle of the door and goes away. I'm not saying that this ghost orb couldn't be dust, I'm just saying that nothing else like it appeared for the rest of the stream, and it's obviously something he's not used to seeing either based on his reaction.
I saw like this white line run and just like fall down back here. That was weird.
Hopefully Conman165 will keep us updated if any other creepy stuff happens. A user named Dolphin Treasure posted this on the Chills Narrator subreddit. After her dog Bandit started really freaking her out, Bandit keeps staring up and growling at something it perceives as a threat in an otherwise quiet, normal-looking room.
Bandit, what's bothering you?
There's a lot of memorabilia that could be bothering her dog, so one by one, she takes items off of her shelf to show. It's also worth noting that this dog has never behaved this way at any of these items on the shelf before, and was sitting peacefully in her lap moments before.
Is that who you're barking at? No? My gosh, dude, you are freaking me out.
After a while, she concludes it's nothing on the shelf, but rather something up higher, like on the ceiling. But there's nothing up there that I can see that would hold a small dog's attention for so long, especially with such steadfast conviction. This Demolition House of Horror has these urban explorers walking on eggshells, published to YouTube by Urban Ghosts Urban Exploration in May of 2021. Joe and Chris work their way through a pair of houses being torn down for demolition. Joe says they were contacted by the workers who were cleaning the houses out and were told they felt a presence here. And you'll definitely feel it too as you watch the video. Whatever is in these houses is making its presence known through whispers. As the explorers wander into the bathroom, you can hear incoherent whispering. A moment later, a man's voice says yeah, when asked if the spirits in the house will talk to them.
Will you talk to us if there's spirits here?
Later, more whispering is heard.
May give us some clues.
And later again. Indiscernible what the voice or voices are saying. What is distinctly heard, however, is a growl that happens when Joe is positioning the camera down a staircase. What do you think is hanging around these demolition houses? And what will they do when their homes are destroyed? The power goes out and a man must go into the basement to find the circuit breaker. There's only one problem.
This is where I heard the booming at night.
Once he gets downstairs, his beam is swallowed in the darkness, and while fumbling around, he barely catches a glimpse of a pale face down there with him. And by the time he gets the flashlight to work again, it's already too late. Whatever this is a face of, ghost or otherwise, I doubt it's a mask because at 50 seconds you can see its mouth open and its smile fade away as it lunges forward. It doesn't grab him and he is able to get away, so if this is real, then it could be one of the highest resolution ghost sightings ever caught on camera to date. A YouTuber named Fauzi Ki Danaya of Pakistan has caught some creepy things on tape while exploring a haunted building that used to be a school.
ये मेरे लिए एक फायदा है। ये भाई क्या मुसीबत है अंदर।
It doesn't take very long for the scary stuff to begin.
ये मेरे चला खैर इसको। क्या आप जिन हो? ओए ला 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 ला। ओए कैसी आवाज़ है यार?
His ghost meter detects a presence in this room shortly before the paranormal activity ramps up a lot and a window slams shut on its own.
रात में नहीं हुई। इस जगह पे जो भी चीज़ मौजूद है, ये कैमरा भी घूमे जा रहा है, ब्लर क्यों हो रहा है बार बार? क्यों ब्लर हो रहा है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे।
A final loud crash sends him running out of the building to see what's making all of the noise. All he finds is a stray cat outside, which he suspects is a shape-shifting jinn because no cat would walk towards all that commotion. I'm not so sure about all that, but I do think it's strange how this classroom is the only place where weird haunted things get caught on camera. Exploring the rest of the haunted school reveals no other paranormal activity, just whatever's by this window. In 2007, a YouTuber named Ben Ems uploaded this video made by his friend, Levi, who is reciting some lines for a play when something appears in the window.
I wish you were here.
The resolution is good for a YouTube video that's over 13 years old, so I don't think it's computer effects, but I do think it's planned. This is the reflection of someone who is probably standing behind the camera, not behind Levi. The upper corner gets brighter when they turn on the light to make the reflection appear in the window. So while this video is creepy, I doubt it's as real as Ben claims. Sometimes when you get that feeling that you're being watched, you may discover you are. Posted by Kuno to TikTok, this footage was filmed in Kuno's room, and according to him, no one was home at the time. When creating a video, you're usually pretty oblivious to what's going on around you as you focus in on the task at hand. That's what Kuno appears to be doing as he sings his heart out, but look behind him in the doorway and your heart might skip a beat as you see what appears to be a mysterious figure. The black outline pops up over his shoulder, backlit by some white light, while Kuno remains completely unaware of its presence. The form lingers for a moment before disappearing out of sight once again. It's difficult to discern who or what this figure is, but if you've ever watched a scary movie in your life, you're probably shouting at Kuno to stop singing and turn around. This footage shows that whether or not you think you are home alone, you may be entirely wrong in that assumption. Sean learned about summoning Bloody Mary from a friend. He thought about it for a couple days and then decided to try it for himself to see what happens. First, he tries to summon her with the lights on, and he isn't surprised when that method doesn't work. Next, he tries it with the lights off, which is something that he is a little hesitant to do, and with good reason too. He says her name 3 more times, and this is what he sees.
God!
The hunched over figure behind him gives him a startle, and Sean turns out the lights just to make the terrifying scene go away. When he turns the lights back on, she has vanished. Just like in other videos, the doorknob gets jammed as he tries to leave, and then it suddenly releases. He retreats into the main area of his house and the video ends. I will say that this video could very well be fake. Maybe Bloody Mary is really just his sister or someone else he knows. His reaction seems a little off too, kind of like it could have been staged, but then again, he might have been really frightened and just trying to keep his cool for the camera. It's hard to tell for certain. What would you do if the ghost that's haunting your house doesn't want to share it with you? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, this redditor writes, "Threw this edit together of me being haunted and I'm terrified." In the beginning of the clip, Mossy asks the spirit if he can please enter his room, and the door swings closed. We'll take that as a no. He hurries to open it and reveals that there's no one behind it or inside, as he mentions that his fan is turned off on its own. The fan flings itself from the table beside his bed. Lastly, he turns on his piano keyboard and asks the spirit to play a song. The spirit obliges, pressing a few random keys. Is this a harmless haunting, or is something more evil at play? Redditor Bestia Hermosa advises that the Redditor sweep everything out of this house. She writes, "When you come back into your home, close the door behind you without looking back, outside your door in order to have any bad juju stay out, and no unwelcoming entities in your home." We hope Bestia's advice works. This spirit doesn't seem like he's interested in welcoming the living. Redditor Purgatory Adventures submitted this to the Chills Narrator subreddit, and they said it's one of the scariest events in Purgatory Adventures history. The Redditor described the events as the following. "We captured footsteps coming down the stairs at us. The ghost hunting team appears to be in an abandoned building of some sort. One team member sits in the middle of a mostly empty room, but keep your eye on the door in the top right. And just like that, clear as day, they hear footsteps coming from the other side of that door, like someone is walking down some stairs."
What the f?
That was like in the staircase, man.
Something tells me they're not alone in this place, but the question now is whether it's a ghost or a stranger. Which one do you think it is? Either way, I'd be staying far away from this place.
What the f?
That was like in the staircase, man.
Rain and Geno of Sinister RP return to finish a paranormal grudge, one that began at the cemetery. A haunted apartment that they are left with 3 days ago is when they went exploring here for the first time, the Boyd Cemetery, somewhere in Canada. That's when a ghost decided that if they wanted to explore its home, then it's only fair to explore theirs. Later that night, they are able to make spiritual contact by using a ghost hunting app. The creepy conversation does not go well.
Can you tell me your name? If there is anything following me, you are not allowed to anymore.
The voice of a ghost named Ernest is followed by the sarcastic voice of a little ghost girl who says too bad at the very notion of banishing them. Ernest too sounds sarcastic when he says goodbye.
I said goodbye.
Their replies occur in real time and make sense, so they could have been actual EVPs from the other side. Rain and Jeno are not the type to be intimidated in their own home, and so they bravely return to the cemetery 3 days later for a final showdown, but the ghost's voices only mock her as she scorns and warns them.
Please do not follow us home. You are not allowed to follow us home. You are not allowed to attach yourselves to us or anything that we have here. We are going now. Goodbye.
The spirits don't sound very convinced, and as they back out of the Boyd Cemetery in silence, they think they catch a glimpse of a fiendish figure crouching behind a marker, perhaps old Ernest himself. That's not part of the architecture in my opinion. It only looks more supernatural and creepy when you zoom in. Perhaps coming back here has done more harm than good. Sinister RP believes they have caught a real ghost sighting caught on camera. Tell me if you agree with their paranormal evidence, or if you have an alternative explanation. While exploring deep inside the Cave of Mounds, YouTuber Near Shadow starts to hear whispers. Listen closely.
Oh, your light, hold on.
What was that? What was that? What is that?
Hello?
Later, you can definitely hear a child's voice in this larger cavern.
Yeah, it looks like it's like gonna fall. Look.
It does. This is cool.
Yeah, there's so much moisture that you don't know, like look how wet that is, and then you can't.
The team doesn't appear to hear this in the moment. To me, the voice sounds a lot louder than the earlier whispers. Is there a child spirit trapped in the Cave of Mounds? I think it's time to send in the cave divers. Looks like zombies want to get out of bed every once in a while. Published to YouTube in October of 2011 by Underwater Ireland. This YouTuber sets out into a purportedly haunted graveyard in Ireland. The cemetery is innately creepy, with trees growing into steeple-like coverage as she enters. After exploring a bit, she sets up a camera to film overnight. What she manages to capture on film will send a chill down your spine. The gate opens in the middle of the night, no one is there. It doesn't appear to be windy. Then something flashes on the screen, it's hard to make out. As some in the comments point out, if you watch the clip in slow motion, you can see a ghostly demon face. It is quite clear if you manage to pause it at the right moment. Some say it looks like a skeletal hand, others a white orb spirit. What do you think it could be? Is this the zombie outbreak we've all been waiting for? Only one way to find out for sure. A YouTuber named Vicky Short offers this creepy home CCTV video as paranormal evidence of a haunted house. It's 4:26 in the morning when a scary event happens. That is caught on CCTV, 2 books falling off the shelf, seemingly with no one around. Vicky says the haunted household objects moved on their own, but the alleged paranormal activity happens in a corner that the camera can't really see very well, so I'm not sure if it's real or fake. This could be a ghost moving the books, or it could be someone moving them off camera. But when the 2 lights mysteriously flash from a surge of energy across from where the books fell, it makes them suspect that paranormal activity is occurring after all. This footage comes from a hotel camera in New York that's near Niagara Falls. Shane Sovar is a hotel manager who claims to have seen a large triangular UFO shoot past by his window one night. An on-duty hotel security officer backs up this claim and says that he saw it too. They contact an amateur UFO group called the Aerial Phenomenon Investigations Team, who does a standard investigation and leaves. Things get very odd soon after. Around 2 weeks after the aerial phenomenon was finished their investigation, a pair of men dressed in all black suits reportedly entered the hotel and began to interrogate witnesses for more information. They specifically wanted to know where Shane and the hotel security guard could be found. Shane said that people who had spoken with the men later told him how strange they looked. They were tall, pale, had no eyebrows or eyelashes, and basically looked exactly the same. They had especially large and unsettling eyes, and one woman told Shane that she felt like they were able to read her mind. Whether these two men were simply businessmen on vacation or actual government agents is anyone's guess, but Shane swears that he is telling the truth. Exactly what the team of UFO investigators had found during their investigation, along with whatever these men were looking for, has never been released to the public. Sean Baker noticed this strange thing living in his backyard not too long ago, and now the situation has become too large for him to ignore any longer.
Started out as a little white regular mushroom, and now it's grown into something demonic.
Whatever it is, one thing is for sure, the strange looking mass is able to withstand a lot of punishment.
Dead. It's like it's bleeding.
It oozes some sort of weird sludge in response to his attacks that I really hope is not toxic. Even with the help of a 2x4, Sean Baker is ultimately unable to bust the thing open or pry it loose from the earth. He curses the seemingly permanent growth in his backyard and ends the video in disgust. This almost certainly has to be some sort of rare fungus in my opinion, though I'm not sure what kind. But then again, maybe it really is from somewhere far away like Sean Baker seems to believe, perhaps even space. I'm hoping that together we can identify exactly what this thing is, and more importantly, how to get rid of it. Isaac Brumegg feels a bite on his line and pulls up something larger than he ever imagined. Whoa! It looks like he hooked the shark, but when you watch it again, you'll see the shark was actually going after a much smaller fish. Isaac quickly unhooks and releases the fish before the shark has the chance for a second go. Isaac is so incredibly lucky that the line was behind him and not close to the kayak, otherwise this shark could have practically landed in his lap. A tech-savvy phantom is entering the chat. YouTuber Amitav Paranormal Tech YT went live on his YouTube channel and his REM pod activated, so he set up a security camera in the room at night. This is what happened. An invisible entity enters. And not long after this happens, a light turns on and off. This footage is creepy for sure, but is it paranormal? Or can it be explained? I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Amitav captures next. South Korean ghost hunter Yang Ma-hee is exploring an old abandoned haunted house for evidence of the paranormal. What he's caught on tape is up for debate, so let's get right to it. Tell me if you hear a footstep after he finishes his sentence.
계세요? 계세요?
All of the rooms look completely ripped apart, and yet nothing has been taken. Drawers and shelves are overturned, but clothing and personal items remain largely untouched. It looks like the work of poltergeist activity to me, not thieves. A particularly angry poltergeist at that. But perhaps the scariest part of all is this EVP of a man's voice that completely overlaps his own when he touches the old owner's shoe.
이거 화장실이다.
That does not sound like a house settling or anything like that. It's definitely vocal cords. The ghostly voice of someone who is with us in spirit alone. final analysis? Yeah, this video is about as paranormal as it gets. Luna Meow has a natural ability to communicate with the paranormal that she intends to explore to the fullest on her ghost hunting channel by the same name.
Guys, to turn on the flashlight that's next to me. Please. Do you think you can do that? How many of you were married when you... Okay. I don't like that. That's scary.
At 17 seconds, she appears to feel a presence draw near, and when she looks over her shoulder a second time, the flashlight is on. It doesn't look like anyone is nearby, at least nobody who is alive. The object just turns on by itself like a ghost touches it.
Turn the flashlight on.
They aren't interested in answering any more questions and simply turn the flashlight off without further interaction. Maybe they just wanted to let Luna know that they were here, watching. During a different investigation, Luna and some friends try to summon a spirit, and it just might have worked.
Oh, look at it, look at it.
Thank you. You know other people are here, aren't you? Don't you?
Does the real make you happy?
But perhaps the creepiest video of all comes from the Omen House in Beverly Hills, California. This is where a nefarious group gained access to a famous celebrity's home, and she did not last against them for long. Their paranormal equipment detects the motion of a spirit nearby, though it could be detecting the movement of this ghost hunter picking up the K2 meter at 5 seconds. Still, if you look very closely, the K2 meter detects a spike of paranormal energy at the same time the motion sensors go off. And shortly thereafter, this mysterious blue light sweeps across the room that they all swear was not a flashlight. I have my doubts about this, until one of the team bangs a shelf and jumps up and down to demonstrate that all of the items on this shelf are stable, but as soon as he walks away, this object falls over by itself, something which apparently happens all the time.
Want to show them one more time? A final goodbye before they all leave? Or are you just gonna keep doing this? They're gonna jump.
The same exact object falls over all by itself. On one hand, the same object moving twice could be a sign of a ghost manipulating objects at will, but on the other hand, maybe this toy is simply unbalanced and falls over on its own a lot. Still, the fact that it happens while he is walking away seems to suggest that this is the work of a ghost with selective intelligence who wants attention. This crab fisherman caught more than he bargained for. Published by Casey's Spotlight. Believe it or not, this is a real thing that's swimming in the waters of our oceans. Known as a wolf eel, this super creepy species dwells in the North Pacific. With a tail that stretches some 8 feet, wolf eels often wrap themselves up into caves, launching out with their wolfish heads to snatch prey, usually shellfish, urchins, and crabs. With crabs crawling in the cage alongside him, this particular wolf eel appears to be mid-meal as there's something large in its mouth. The fishermen pull the object out of the eel's mouth. What do you think of this creepy creature? My advice? Steer clear of taking an icy dip in the North Atlantic. Ken Heron and his ghost investigating assistant Gary explore an old burned down house covered in soot and ash. Trash litters the inside, and every surface feels sharp and broken, so they can't stay for long. As they are leaving, Ken gets the feeling that they are being watched, a feeling that Gary soon confirms.
Anything behind me? I'm scared.
Dude, there is something up.
Sure enough, this figure is observing them from the very corner of the window, barely noticeable if not for its single glowing white eye. They look to be crouched down to make themselves even harder to see, but here's the thing, nobody should be standing in that spot at all. Ken and Gary were just in that house, and they both know that's a portion of the room with a collapsed floor. The next time you're getting inked up, you'd best beware the angry poltergeists that may haunt the place. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by Little Bo, the uploader explains that the ghost in their studio is becoming increasingly aggressive, particularly targeting men. The video shows the ghost in action as the artist is preparing to give a customer some ink. Several things literally launch from the nearby shelf, falling down on the artist, who covers his head. In the comments, the OP says the items that were thrown were a bottle and a Bluetooth speaker. It seems this is not a unique thing for studios. A Redditor mentions their 100-year-old studio's poltergeist is quite active as well. He writes, "If you're in the basement, you can hear people walking above you, even if there's no one there, and just a general sense of dread. Once I was there alone after hours drawing, and the phone rang 3 times, and then read line in use as if someone picked up the phone. I refused to be there alone." The OP responds that the doorbell of their studio also goes off a lot without anyone entering, as they call such events their phantom no-show clients. Is this angry ghost one of their phantom no-shows? We can only guess. A group of divers go exploring off Miller's Point in South Africa, a place where giant sea life can pose quite a problem, but it's not what they find that makes this diving video scary, so much as what it is they lose. At 4 minutes and 17 seconds, one of them starts to thrash around and has to be extracted by 2 friends. He has lost his sense of direction because everything is one color, no floor, no ceiling, and easy to lose track of unless you keep focus. Now up has become down, left has become right. He has no idea where he is and his mind is spinning, a condition known as vertigo. Once you are in this confused state, it's easy to keep swimming farther down because you think you are going to reach the surface at any moment. Eventually, the underwater pressure becomes too much to handle and you can guess the rest. When they bring him to the surface, you can see that it's a good thing they intervened in time. He later says he blacked out and doesn't remember any of the scary moments they've caught on camera. There was little chance of him reaching the surface on his own, and he pretty much owes them his life. So take this video as an example why you should never go diving alone unless you want to risk the same thing happening to you with no one to save your life. What you don't know can't panic you, right? Posted to Reddit, the uploader, Jason Green 3 explains in the comments, on April 25th, 2013, at about 9:20 p.m. local time, an unknown object at low altitude flew directly across the Rafael Hernandez Airport runway in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, causing a delayed departure of a commercial aircraft. Green continues on, explaining that this infrared video on the thermal imaging systems of the CPB DHC-8 aircraft was captured by US authorities. This video is reportedly obtained legitimately by an anonymous source. According to their information, the object, between 3 to 5 feet wide, was flying around various speeds between 40 and 120 miles per hour with an 80 mile per hour median speed. When it entered the water, its speed did not slow down or demonstrate obvious impact, traveling at a similar average speed as it had in the air. Upon entering the ocean, the object spilt, re-emerged for an instant, and then both pieces traveled at the same speed. The Redditor writes that there's no known origin for this object, and no clue as to what might travel at these speeds through air and water. At least one Redditor suggests it's a weather balloon, while most others accept that this is an unidentified flying device. What do you think this could be, and are you panicked? This one's picked up some heat in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. Posted by Breakman in August of 2020. The creature captured in this video isn't like one you'd want to cross paths with at night. Appearing straight out of A Nightmare Before Christmas, the figure could be described as a cross between a skeleton or a scarecrow. But it's the figure's jerky animated movements that really put the viewer on edge. The long-limbed creature walks joltingly across the road before realizing it's being watched. It whips around abruptly, causing the person filming to drop his camera downward. When he lifts it up again, the scary scarecrow has vanished. What is happening? Is this figure mechanical, remote controlled? Where did it disappear to and why? I think there's a good chance this is CGI, but if that's not the case, then I have no idea how else to explain this. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you don't want this cryptic hand catching you by the toe. Published in October of 2019 by YouTuber Paranormal News, this video has taken Spanish social networks by storm. The clip at first appears sweet. A toddler is hiding on a shelf inside a burrow as her father coaxes her out of there. Watch as a Tales from the Crypt nightmare hand extends out, perhaps luring her further into the darkness. Did a chill just run down your spine? Someone get that baby out of there. This is insanely scary. TikToker Kitty K38, also known as Paranormal Nightmares on YouTube, continues to capture paranormal encounters in her home. This appears to be home surveillance footage in their living room. In the left corner, there is a chair with 2 supposedly haunted dolls on it. Watch what happens when Jamie enters the room. Upon noticing the chair tilting backwards, Jamie grabs a piece of wood and waves it behind the chair to check for any strings. He cannot find any though. The chair finally returns back down and Jamie quickly exits the room. All this recorded evidence really aids to the legitimacy of this haunted house. What would you do if you lived in a house like this? I'd be sleeping with the lights on. What goes up must come down. Posted by V. Fieldson on TikTok, as Fieldson walks beside a house, capturing a bicycle lying in the middle of the sidewalk. He pulls the shot upright, catching the roof of the house in frame. Someone is up there watching him. The watcher appears to be filming him too. At least he seems to be holding something with a light on. He rushes from view, and darkness envelopes him. Of course, this is TikTok, so that's where the clip ends. However, as we know, what goes up must come down. After all, he's gotta come down from that rooftop eventually. YouTube team Rota X Investigaso Paranormal explores this haunting place where something horrible happens. As they walk in, they sense there's someone there. As he introduces himself, it sounds like someone runs off into the darkness.
Meu nome é Marco.
Aqui, Marco, na frente, aqui. Oh!
They get back to their investigation, addressing the spirits.
Opa! Vamos fazer uma pergunta aqui. Fala aí uma pergunta.
Boa noite. A presença que está aqui é da alguém que partiu, que estava aqui na tragédia?
In one dark and scary room, their device goes off.
Maior. Por isso a equipe Rota X pede licença para estar entrando aqui.
And a second time.
Tá, obrigado pela sua resposta, tá bom?
And then a third time.
Tá, alguém faleceu aqui, né? E você poderia me dizer...
While the readings are interesting, I'm more intrigued by the person they sensed in the building who seemed to escape. There's nothing creepier than finding extra limbs in your home movie. Published to YouTube in March of 2015 by Patrick Cochran. This video of the haunted Hinsdale house in New York will leave you terrified. Located on McMahon Road in Hinsdale, New York, the Hinsdale house runs tours for paranormal investigators and scare fans alike, as it's known to be one of the most haunted houses in the area. The mysterious history of the place includes everything from an exorcism to unexplainable events and sightings. Some of these events are recorded in the book, Echoes of a Haunting. Haunting is centered around the Dandy family who lived in the home with their kin in the 70s. The family claims a number of spirits visited them during their stay, and they even had a priest come on more than one occasion to perform an exorcism. The house won out though, and the Dandy family eventually fled the haunted place. A number of other families made attempts to call the Hinsdale house their home, but no one stayed for long. The present owner, Daniel Clays, doesn't live in the home, but allows paranormal teams to investigate the home. This video may show an investigation or just a regular ghost tour. The group wanders through the haunted house in the darkness, which is creepy enough as it is. Then around 2:36 you see it. A strange arm swings into sight in the darkness. What is that? It certainly doesn't look human. YouTuber Tommy Poo writes in the comments, of all the countless videos I have viewed on YouTube and other social media sites since 2009, this is only the second where I believe visual proof of paranormal entities has been digitally captured. YouTuber Ty Cheeman adds, I was involved in the Paranormal Investigation show as a special guest star at the Hinsdale house 2 years ago, and it has plagued me since with negative activity around me and my home. It seems Ty was certainly not alone in his experience. There's a reason no family ever lasted long in the Hinsdale house. Could you? Me neither. A YouTuber named Confuseo Mental orders a box off the dark web that he's not so sure about, so he puts on some gloves. The first thing he unfurls is an old scroll with what I think could be ancient Hebrew text. Translated if you can. I will admit the paper itself looks like it could be artificially aged, but who knows? Wrapped and locked in a tiny casket with similar text adorning the top. Again, translate if you can, please. Something tells me that this is either a blessing to help guide this tiny soul to the other side, or else a warning telling others not to open it. A warning that's totally ignored as he continues to handle the object. I'm curious about what these numbers across the top with the letter E at the end could mean. I'm sure someone out there is smart enough to figure this all out. He puts a mask on ready for the stench of something rotting, but instead finds this extra creepy demonic doll and look into the center of its eyes at 26 minutes and 13 seconds. They're reflecting light. Now that's certainly creepy. This video was taken somewhere in South America, and it shows a man sitting on a table at a security monitoring station. Little does he know that he too is apparently being monitored, and not by a camera. After a while, this is what happens to him. Even the people reviewing the footage can't believe what they are seeing. Not only does a nearby chair move on its own, but it also moves in his general direction. It's almost as if the ghost is pulling up a seat directly across from him. Unbelievably, the man doesn't seem to notice this paranormal activity unfolding before him. At least at first. He is looking at his cell phone when suddenly it happens again. This time he sees it, and his reaction seems very legitimate as he becomes startled and tense. He looks behind him to make sure that the security camera is recording all of this for later evidence. Then he hops off the table and stares at the chair before him. Obviously scared now. He waits for it to move again, but it doesn't, so he goes over to inspect it more closely. This is probably the most convincing part of the video, because he would have seen a fishing line if it was a fake prank. Instead, he picks the chair up, puts it back in its place, and then puts a stand in front of it and gets out of there fast. I'm not saying that this video is absolutely 100% real, but it is certainly a possibility. A YouTuber named Wokun Cha is on a mission to explore the most haunted places in Pakistan faster than anyone in the history of ghost hunting. Since August of 2019, he has investigated no less than 60 paranormal locations, but for time's sake, let's focus on these top 3 scariest ones. In September of 2019, he travels to a house possessed by demonic desert spirits called jinns. He takes a single step in the first room and already feels a cold presence warning him to stay away. Then the door across the room closes so slowly you have to watch the shine of his camera light to see it. When he fearlessly takes a few steps forward, a ghostly white arm reaches for the knob to shut it the rest of the way, at which point his flashlight turns itself off. The same door clatter loses again behind him. Someone's on the other side, but whether it's a ghost or a member of his crew is what I want to know. Also, what is he saying here to provoke such an angry response?
यहाँ कोई मौजूद है? क्या अपने होने का सबूत दे सकते हैं? अल्लाहु अकबर.
Nobody is on the other side of the door, at least no one that I can see, though I suppose someone could be ducking under the camera here to make it look that way. But that's when he sees it, the thing responsible for closing the door, a white apparition who glides away without a word. It's creepy for sure, but also questionable, because he sees the ghost and then enters the room looking the exact opposite way for some reason, which makes me think that they could have digitally added the ghost later. Next, he hears something so eerie and insane that it almost has to be edited. Let me know if you think it's legit, because if so, then this is pretty much proof of the supernatural. Voices, perhaps children, whose lives the jinn has snuffed. The ghost hunter understandably seems reluctant to go any further, and perhaps senses a great danger is near. As it turns out, he's right. No one seems to be inside of this room, but as he timidly rounds the corner, I think I see this gray figure in a cloak standing on the other side. The jinn itself, it's blurry, yes, but something nonetheless seems to be looking straight at him. The top arrow is its face, and the bottom its outstretched hand, palm up. He flees then and there, but on February 2nd of 2020, returns to the home for another look. I think they might be saying that something is on the roof here, but I need your help to translate and make sure.
ये देखें, आपके सामने।
Apparently, whatever it is, it's now in the room with them, so they step outside. They take a short breather, but as soon as they're back inside, the trouble starts once again.
ये गिरा हुआ, ये अचानक ही गिरा है नीचे।
I'm pretty sure he's asking for confirmation of a ghost during this part, and soon he gets a response.
देखिए आप जो भी हैं, मैं आपको नुकसान पहुंचाने यहाँ नहीं आया।
At which point this chain on a nail begins to sway back and forth for well over 10 seconds completely on its own. Doors slam shut, but Wokun Cha is determined to go further than before, and eventually he comes across a bizarre straw hut that fills him with unexplainable dread. The earth looks recently disturbed. Anything could be buried beneath the rubble. He's contemplating the structure when the spirits become restless.
Astaghfirullah.
Or maybe it's just a string tied to a tree. Either way, he seeks shelter in an area that's just as haunted as everywhere else, and soon he hears voices coming through the walls. At this point, you would think nothing could stop this fearless explorer. Doors slamming, groaning moans, and objects moving on their own aren't enough to make him leave, but the part that scares him the most is literally nothing at all. A presence that we can't see and only he can feel. Is this part real or just good acting?
अजीब सी कंडीशन है। अल्लाहु अकबर, अस्तगफिरुल्लाह। मुझे धक्का दीजिए किसी ने।
He turns around and looks at the corner as if something had just brushed by. Whatever touched him leaves him too scared to re-enter. I've saved the creepiest one of all for last, a paranormal adventure that takes place on October 23rd, 2019. That's when Wokun Cha travels to a site full of unmarked burials. Many of them are child-sized. It's a calm night and crickets chirp as he says a few words that I would like translated because they sound very somber and sorrowful.
अल्लाह ताला की मेहरबानी से मैं बिखरिए से हूँ।
The stillness of the night is soon replaced by a rushing whisper that sounds lonely and paranormal, a rising cry of anguish possibly originating from the other side of life. As he reaches an old memorial, he hears another voice call out, a near laugh. And approximately 2 minutes later, the same voice laughing. His nervous fear is overpowered by a morbid curiosity to stay and see who the voice belongs to. I was halfway expecting a hand to bust forth from the earth, but what happens next is just as frightening.
Allahu Akbar. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. मेरे दोस्तों वो साया सा है मेरे दोस्तों वो
He checks around the side of the building and sees nothing. He's all alone again, just himself in the graves. I wish Wokan Shaw all the best, but at the same time really hopes he slows down to a safer rate of exploring. If he keeps this up, it's only a matter of time before something really bad happens to him. And at this rate, he might not even make it to his 100th video. If you like to scrounge for snacks at night, this video will have you second guessing that midnight snack. Posted to Reddit by Better Than Better, the home security footage reveals a dark and seemingly empty kitchen at night. Around 30 seconds in, a man trudges in and opens the fridge to get a snack. While the man is standing at the fridge, drinking something, watch the teddy bear on the kitchen table. It starts moving ever so slightly, bobbing up and down, but that's not all. When the man closes the fridge and turns to leave, the baby walker next to the table does this, confused about whether he saw what he thinks he saw. The man doesn't take his eyes off the baby walker as he leaves the room, but he returns a short time later, his wife by his side, presumably to explain what happened. As he's indicating that the baby walker moved of its own accord, the teddy bear falls over, or rather seems to fly backwards, as the wife jumps out of the room and the man approaches the bear. Two of the chairs tucked under the table spring out simultaneously. If that isn't enough to scare you out of your own home, I don't know what is. I believe dealing with an incident like this is something 99% of people couldn't handle. Legend has it this former asylum is haunted, and this video appears to be proof of it. Posted by Zombie Platypus to the Ghosts subreddit. The Redditor says this was filmed in what used to be the living quarters at a mental institution called CSUCI. The quarters are now a modern dorm room. The clip shows a plate of shrimp moving across the counter on its own for more than half a minute. Its movement is jarring, as if it's being nudged around the counter every so often. Zombie Platypus explains that they started filming when one of them saw a quick but long movement that made them scream. She says no magnets or strings were used, and the dishwasher wasn't on. Most commenters agree with Redditor DieFitH, who suggests this may not be paranormal activity at all. He writes, if the bottom of the plate has a lip and it is wet, causing a nice seal, and you put hot food on the plate, and if the counter is ever so slanted, it can cause the plate to move, the steam causing a hovercraft-like effect. However, the Redditor says that when they tried to recreate the situation under the exact same conditions, they never could get it to move like that. A few Redditors in the comments don't have an answer for the Redditor, but having visited the campus, acknowledged that the place made them uncomfortable and gave them the heebie-jeebies. Is it just the creepy history of the former institute that pushes us towards a paranormal explanation, or are former patients just hungry? Dennis and Tim of Nerve Paranormal return to the Atkinson Manor to see if there's anything they've missed their first time around. There certainly is something they've missed before, and it definitely does not miss them. They are first greeted by a stuffed animal that I don't think was there before. It looks much less dusty than the steps around it, and therefore was probably put there recently. Nerve Paranormal could have put that there themselves though, so even though it's creepy, it's also easily disproven. Less easy to disprove, however, is when they hear this commotion while holding a spirit box session. It sounds like something runs up the steps moments before the door opens, yet no one is there. When they return downstairs, they find this blue kid's chair, shown briefly at 3 minutes and 50 seconds, is now part of a neatly arranged circle at 17 minutes and 30 seconds. Just as they are wondering how the chairs got this way, they get their answer. This still frame, taken in a flash of his camera at 17 minutes and 44 seconds, shows the chairs 1 second before they pull away. You can see no strings running on the floor whatsoever. I don't see how this is possible unless they put magnets on the bottom of these chairs and slid them across the ground from one floor below, which requires 4 different people and a lot of effort. Instead of running away to somewhere safe, they stand their ground, which seems to make the ghost of the manor grow even more displeased. Then again, this object just so happens to be within kicking distance of the cameraman, so maybe he did it himself and then acted surprised. When Tim and Dennis decide to leave a minute later, they hear 4 footsteps and the doors open. This could be a spirit or it could be their friends. I think it could be real considering they eventually chose to escape off the roof and risk falling to get out of there. This video is simply called Path of the Banshee. A man is walking all by himself down a bleak path with rows of trees reaching out for him from both sides. He spots something in the distance and freezes. Some people claim that the scream is fake and edited in. Even so, plenty of people say that they can see a figure in white robes in the distance. Do you see anything like that when he zooms in? Also, if you can identify if that scream is from a video game or a movie or something, then please let me know. Maybe together we can prove if this video is fake or real once and for all. This one's a real head scratcher. This Redditor shared this video of a USB cable with a life of its own. Let's take a look. Let's see it again, slower this time. The cord is still for about 20 seconds and then becomes active again. If you zoom in on the cable, it does look like there's something attached to it about 2 inches below the head. But you can't see the string, so I'm hesitant to say that's not just a reflection of light on the cord at certain angles. I can't offer a resounding verdict on this one. What do you think it is? A YouTuber named Big and Blonde is checking on a Ouija board that he and his friend left in the woods not too long ago. Something chased them out of the woods the last time they used it, and now they are returning to properly end the ceremony. Not even broad daylight could keep their fears at bay as they come across the same spot as before. Something feels extra wrong about this section of the woods, and moments later they see exactly why.
Oh my god, run, run!
A figure dressed in black and white stomps down their way and sends them running. As they flee, the screams of what could be a girl's last moments on earth fill the forest behind them. I guess this person could just simply be one of their friends, or it could be some kind of supernatural force conjured by the Ouija board. If it is the latter, then I could only imagine it will grow stronger with each passing day until the session is ended once and for all. This mini golf course is haunted by so many golfers who didn't win their round. Published to YouTube by Urban Ghosts Urban Exploration in April of 2021. Joe, Rob, and Kate are up for a course in fear as they explore this abandoned mini golf in the middle of a lightning storm. The whole thing kicks off with nothing but whispers. In the beginning, as they explore a room that's been torn apart, you can hear this whispering in the background. As they continue to explore, there's another voice that sounds like it says, "That's creepy," as they come across a stuffed teddy bear. Joe notes that the teddy bear wasn't here when he last visited the place. As they move glass off the teddy a short while later, 2 distinct knocks are heard. Despite this, they continue exploring. At this point, in a darkened room, 2 lights shine clearly above Joe's head, but these could either be a passing vehicle's headlights shining through a window, or they might be from one of the crew's devices. At the same time, it sounds like a faint voice is heard.
Either road noise, or somebody potentially walking around out there and I subtle whispers.
As Joe is talking a short while later, something or someone is heard speaking over him.
Necrophonic app, I'm gonna turn.
The voice is loud but muddled, and the crew seems to have heard it coming from outside the room. They decide to explore the ceiling air shaft. For a moment, you can hear weird laughter.
Who's up there?
Later, while filming inside the same air shaft, a distinct boom is heard which causes Kate to let out a terrifying scream. This, of course, scares the entire crew. Later, whispers are heard in the air shaft again. Then they film up inside the air shaft. This is when you can hear a muffled female voice. It sounds like it's saying "move on back" shortly after. Another knocking sound. The crew believes there's a spirit up in the air shaft. They are listening deeply, and at this point it sounds like a woman singing, but they don't appear to hear her on site. YouTuber Stella Gomez also notes that the sunray has been moved against the wall at the end of the video. It wasn't there to begin with, so unless the crew moved it, then who did? Being as they usually don't disturb anything, its movement is all the more disturbing. Is the lady in the air shaft toying around with them? This camera caught movement where there was none, at least upon first glance. Redditor Lexi shares this mysterious video to the Paranormal Video subreddit. Keep an eye on the back bathroom. Did you see it? Something peeked in and out of the bathroom. And yet, according to the Redditor, no one is in there. Some in the comments think there's a squatter hanging out in the Redditor's ceiling, but to me, this looks pretty clearly like a shadow person. A bizarre video with little context has left people speculating what creepy things are happening here. At first, this looks like a woman going about her day, but rumor is that she is walking around taking things that could belong to the man on the bed, and that he might even be incapacitated in some way, helpless to do anything but watch Frozen. I think there might be something to this because she grabs a device at 1 minute and 23 seconds, and then an identical device at 1 minute and 40 seconds, while possibly looking for cameras. Was all this stuff hers or not? Since these are rumors and speculation, we'll never know for sure. The Crazy Red Show uploaded an odd sky sighting over the Hawaiian island of Maui that I think needs more coverage and further analysis.
I'm filming that, bruh. I'm telling you, bruh, they're right there. Holy
Lights in the sky have assembled into a strange formation that does not get closer or farther away, simply hovers without a sound. Looking back, the Crazy Red Show says he still has no idea what these lights were, describing the unexplained event as a surreal moment that, if he had to guess, might be a triangulating satellite system being launched. I admit I don't have much of an idea of what a satellite system looks like, but I would assume getting launched involves movement of some kind. Like I said, these unexplained lights in the sky seem stationary and make for a strange sighting caught on tape indeed. Tell me if you think this is something made by us, because a lot of people think this could be video evidence of visitors from someplace far beyond our world. I personally think it could be flares from a government drill, but it's too hard to say. Sometimes if you want to know if a room is haunted or not, all you have to do is ask.
Move it. Holy sh**.
It's creepy, but I'm not sure this object really moved on its own. It sounds like a fan is blowing from side to side and could have moved the object instead of a ghost. Tell me if you hear it.
Holy sh**.
He might have put the bottle at just the right distance to make it seemingly move upon his command. Is this moment paranormal to you? I'm on the fence with this one. Thank you so much for getting me to 30,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers next. Thank you.